So I came across this video on, I don't know if it might have been an Instagram or TikTok or YouTube feed, and a clip of this. So I went and sought it out and got the whole entire court hearing or deposition or what in its entirety. Now, this particular video is a little over 2 hours long, but right now I'm only going to go over the testimony of the mother. In this child support hearing, this mother is bitter as hell. Don't understand why. And fellas, you got to understand, no matter how much you want to keep the courts out of your business, if you feel that you are doing a good enough job as a father, as a man, trying to get your life together, and the mother of your child is for some reason is trying to keep you away from your child or trying to control you, trying to control the situation. Because that's one thing that a lot of men will say, that the woman is always trying to control that man no matter what. No matter if he's doing good, doing bad, they try to find something. They nitpick on him at all times. Fellas, your best avenue is the court system. We don't like it. We want to stay out of it. I was the same way. But when it gets to a point of no return where, all you can do is just have your hands up in the air, you got to go to the courts. And this here is a hearing, I guess, for custody, child support, visitation, what have you. Typical hearing. And in the beginning, the dad testified, and I'm not gonna go over that right now. I may do a reaction sometime later. I don't know. If y'all feel I need to do it, hey, let me know. But I will put the link to this video in the description box so y'all can watch the entirety yourself. Yes, it is upsetting. If you are a father like myself, a father who's been with uh, taking care of his children before they were born, these type of videos will upset you. Shout out to the lead attorney. Maybe somebody can send this video to him, because I would love to see him do a breakdown on this video, because I'm sure this is typical what he saw when he was in family court. But anywho, the father, the father testified at first. He talks about his past drug abuse, alcohol, use. I ain't gonna say abuse, his drug usage, alcohol usage. He talks about that he's been having a steady job for 2 years. He's been going to school for 2 years. He's trying to get his license or what have you. Still got like about 2 more years to go. Well, a little less than 3 years. He has like he's been in school a little less than 3 years, I believe. He has to go to school 4 years to get his license, and he's trying to do better for himself, trying to do right by himself and by his son. But this heifer hero just won't give him an inch. And people be wondering, like, why a lot of times these fathers just walk away, which I don't agree with it. I mean, you got to fight it. Like I say, go to court. No matter what that mother does, she cannot supersede the court. And we always say, oh, we leave the courts out of it, leave the police out of it. Nah, when it comes to your child, bring you got to go to the courts, because she'll do it, especially with child support. She'll definitely take you to court for child support. So you might as well just do it. And if she don't take your child support, if you're trying to do right by your child and she ain't letting you do it, she can't supersede the court, because one thing she not gonna do, she is not gonna risk going to jail. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into, like I say, the mother's testimony. Like I said, the father testified, and I may have forgot some details, but as she testifies, I know that some things that hit me, and we'll just go through this and let it play out, give my opinion, give my knowledge, expertise, things that I've been through, things I know friends of mine have been through with this dog on me, with this court system. And y'all can chime. I want y'all to chime in too. During while you watching it, after you watch the whole thing, just let me know what you've been through. And so, because yeah, the court, the laws, a lot of stuff need to change. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, man.
Maybe seated.
So the judge, after the testimony of, it was the child's father, which is his son, It was the child's father and child's father and his, I think it was his sister. They testified first. Then the judge went on and took a break. So now he's back. And now it's gonna be the child's mother. And then after that it'll be her grandmother, the mother's grandmother. But we're not gonna watch that. Like I said, y'all can, and she's no different. But then she's about as bad as this woman is. But hey, apple don't fall far from the tree, right? But anyway, we're just gonna go through her the mother's testimony. And again, if you don't watch the whole thing, I'm gonna put it in the description box. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, y'all. And y'all can watch the entirety and just like I say, give me your take.
All right. Mr. Baker, I think you were about to cross-examine before you were interrupted by Ms. Duke.
Situation at the ballpark. What was that situation at the ballpark about?
Um, I really don't know. That time of my life was super
So
stressful.
something happened at the ballpark where old boy's mother wanted to see the child, and her family was like, no, and they got into like a big old tuffle, kerfuffle, whatever it was, and there was a lot of estrogen at the ballpark, but it wasn't nothing physical. It was just nobody knows why it happened. They just know it happened, and no one can say why it happened. Amazing. But this is the child's mother right here. So
I remember most of the time I would have to quit crying to go places. I was taking care of the whole house by myself and a baby, and also working 12 hours a day most days to pay the bills at our house. So when we were around people, it was just I wanted Zane, like I wanted to hold my baby because I missed him. Um, so, and I think at that time I was kind of um, just stressed out about everything, to be honest with you.
And had Mr. Westcott moved out at that point? It's leaving. I just asked, that's a yes or no.
We
Well, it is
had-
leading. I mean, you made a statement rather than, and then at the end kind of made a question out of it, but it is leading. So just we can do this. I think what's happened is you objected on some things that were kind of not necessary to Ms. Duke, but Ms. Duke intends to pay you back by objecting to questions that could otherwise be ignored. So
Okay,
let's go through it. We've got the rest of the afternoon.
sounds good. What was the living arrangements for you and Mr. Westcott at that time?
We were actually not living together at the time, and I was talking about before at family gatherings. That's where my brain went. Just
I'm going to ask you some basic questions the judges.
so she's just trying to build up, reasons, her side of the story, to be the victim off the jump. But that's what they're born and bred to do, right?
Since Zane was born, who did the majority of the parenting?
me,
And who did the cooking and cleaning?
me,
All right. Who changed the diapers for Zane?
me.
All right. And I don't think there's any dispute that Zane loves both parents. Is there any dispute on that?
No, sir.
Okay. And, Mr. Westcott had testified about you being strong-willed. Now, tell me about the situation with.
Independent, I think is what it said.
Independent. Tell me about the situation with the child support payments.
So when we were together, I did most of the paying for groceries. I bought groceries. I bought the food, the electric and water bill. I paid my half of the rent. I paid all of my bills. Sometimes I even helped with his bills and his half of the rent because he couldn't come up with the money. And
Hey, you
so
see how she did the quotes in the air? Now, mind you, again, this is like a current case. This might have happened like in the last couple of weeks. So, but they've been separated since February, I think. That's what I want to say. Well, anyway, he's had his job for 2 years, and like I say, he's doing better. So it wasn't like he wasn't like doing anything at the time. He got a job and going to school. So I mean, that's hard enough. Let me go.
So I think when it came to child support, it was like, huh, now I have the money. Let me throw it in your face. And it kind of made me sick
Hold on.
a
I want
little
y'all
bit
to rehear that. Don't listen to what I got to say. Let's listen to her.
before at family gatherings. That's where my brain went just then.
I'm going to ask you some basic questions that the judge is going to need to answer. Since Zane was born, who did the majority of the parenting?
Me,
And who did the cooking and cleaning?
me,
All right. Who changed the diapers for Zane?
me.
Hold on. I do got to start this. Notice how he said since Zane was born, that's you got to be careful. You got to be careful how you got to pay attention to the wording because she has had the child. The child is 18 months old. For the past year, the father has been going through hell with her trying to get visitation more than a few hours a week. So it's natural that she's going to do most of the cooking, cleaning, and changing of the diapers of the child because the child lives with her.
All right. And I don't think there's any dispute that Zane loves both parents. Is there any dispute on that?
No, sir.
Okay. And, Mr. Westcott had testified about you being strong-willed. Now, tell me about the situation with
Independent, I think is what he said.
independent. Tell me about the situation with the child support payments.
So when we were together, I did most of the paying for groceries. I bought groceries. I bought the food, the electric and water bill. I paid my half of the rent. I paid all of my bills. Sometimes I even helped with his bills and his half of the rent because he couldn't come up with the money.
It's being grown. It happens.
And so I think when it came to child support, it was like, huh, now I have the money. Let me throw it in your face. And it kind of made me sick a little bit that he could help then, but he wasn't able to help when we were together.
This child now is, I think they said 16 months old. So it's not like y'all were together for a long time while this child was alive, since the child been born. But you act like he had made you pay for everything for years. And then all of a sudden on his 17th birthday, now he wants to help out with child support. Now you just discussed it. The child is still an infant. Why so much animosity?
Well, how much since he moved out? How much did he pay you in child support?
He's paid around $360 plus the 2 things of diapers, 2 things of formula, maybe 2 things of wipes that he's brought, and a couple things of snacks and a few outfits.
Okay. All right. And over what course of time has it been since he moved out?
A year.
When's the last time he helped you with anything?
Um, he brought, I think it was $75 last week.
Remember, she said they've been separated a year and the child is 16 months old. So that's 12. So she's complaining about 4 months out of the child's life. But now once he started getting the money, now she says she's sick to her stomach because he wants to take care of his child.
And he handed that to my mom because I was at work.
Okay. All right.
Or
So,
remember what she said, $75, and he handed it to her mom because she was at work. I need y'all to remember these details, man, because it's gonna be important here shortly.
who's the one who historically has been caring and providing the necessities for the child?
Me.
Okay. All right. And since he moved out, what assistance has he give you in parenting the child?
Well, he comes over his 4 hours a week and he plays with Zane. And he'll get him to sleep for around 2 hours while he's there. And some of the other time that he's there, his sparing 2 hours to an hour and a half that he stays when Zane is not sleeping, he is playing with him. And most of the time, he does not change his diaper while he's there. He doesn't even ask where the diapers are to change his diapers. He just plays and naps, and sometimes he'll feed him.
Does he stay the whole period?
Not all the time, no, sir. And here lately, he's stayed one time for 4 hours in the past, like, 3 months.
Okay. And what concerns do you have about his parenting abilities?
He puts Zane in danger by letting him play with things that babies should not play with. For example, he gave him a screwdriver with a bit on it that could have been taken off. Zane could have swallowed it and got choked, or he could have been running around with it and stabbed himself. Just careless things like that. He leaves it up on the counter and walks away, and it's a very tall counter with a stove next, like, on the countertop. Um, just things like that. Just not thinking.
When did the situation with the screwdriver take?
Couple months ago, maybe.
Did you observe that happen?
No, my grandma told me, and my mom.
Sustained.
Well, we get to your grandma later. Any other things that gives you concern with his parenting abilities?
Just not thinking. When he gets mad, he acts out. If you go against what he thinks
Hold on.
is correct.
Who is he? Zane or
Chase.
Okay.
Chase, Mr. Westcott. He will act out if you go against what he says is true. There were several times when we lived together that he would scare me when we would do something like argue, and one time he kicked the door in. That was really scary. Then he would speed off in his car and he'd say, "I'm leaving," and he would leave.
Kicking in the door, I don't agree with that. Don't condone that. But leaving, got no problem with that. Even in those two situations, not once did she say that he put his hands on her. He'd rather burn off, leave, do what a man's supposed to do. When it get too volatile, dude say, "Man, I'm out of here. I'll be back," and then go cool off. Simple as that. I mean, hell, could have went to the other room, could have went down the street to go do those drugs that he used to do back in the day. That she probably, if she's controlling, what she was controlling back then as she is now, with the 4 hours of visitation, which I mean, you're gonna hear more details about that, and it's just thrown off. I can imagine him going to get him a drink or two.
And then he would come back, and it was all my fault, of course, that he acted that way. One time he left my house angry after seeing Zane, and he wrecked his car. He wrecked it, and it was out of anger. It wasn't raining. It wasn't anything. It was either out of anger or it was because he was on his phone or something crazy like that. But it was wrecked on both sides.
Sustained.
But he wrecked the vehicle. How long ago was that?
I'm not sure how long ago it was.
Turn these captions on just in case these lawyers say something and we can't hear it.
Or I don't know. I can't tell you when it was. It wasn't too far in the past.
Was it before or after you?
After.
All right. And what is your living situation? Where are you living at?
I live with my mom and dad.
All right. And what's the sleeping arrangements? What's going on there?
I have a bed in my room, and then Zane has a crib that stays in the corner of my room so that I can hear him when he cries, because it's a big house.
And what's your work schedule?
I make my own schedule. So I'm off whenever I need to be off. And
How much did you make? First of all, tell the judge what you do.
I do hair.
Is it here in town?
Yes, sir. It's in White Bluff.
And how much did you gross last?
40,000. That's before my deductions and write-offs.
You know how much the expense come out of that yet? Has the numbers been done?
They haven't been done yet, no, sir.
Well, normally, historically, how much do you net?
Normally around 30.
30,000?
Mm-hmm.
30,000 is a lot of money for White Bluff. I was just looking it up. White Bluff has a population of 4,161 people. It's a quaint town. People are friendly and we love our neighbors. Schools are good and prices are affordable. There are good restaurants here. And in Dixon, which is about 20 minutes away, which is like where this courtroom is. The racial makeup, 74.85% white, 16.27% black, and so on and so forth, or whatever. So it's a small little country town in Tennessee. Okay, we get it. Nope, wrong video. Here we go.
You have to pay the booth rental and all that
And
stuff.
she made $30,000 a year. That's real good. $30,000 doing hair in a little town like that. Yeah, that's real good. But she stays with her parents. But I'm telling y'all, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I say the same thing. I would implore children to stay with their parents as long as possible until they can get married and move out, especially little girls. Yeah, because it's hard out here. The cost of living is higher than what it was when we was younger. And this way y'all could save you a little money, take care of your kids, financially, be there for them, and you have help around the house. And yeah, you have help. And then, like I said, once you mature enough and get married, you can have your own family and move out and start your own little compound.
Yes, sir.
Sustained.
Why is that number 30,000?
Because I have to buy products, I have to pay booth rent, I have to buy supplies for the salon, gas to and from the supply store, and we go there quite often. Travel for weddings, so that's gas and products.
And what would you suggest to the court is in the best interest of Zane for a parenting?
I would feel comfortable. I think it would be better for Zane to be with Chase supervised somewhere for a few hours a week. And just to see, so others can see how he is as a parent, and see how he doesn't think like that.
Has he ever spent the night with Zane by himself?
No, sir.
Well, who would you ask to be there? You got somebody?
Probably his sister Ashley.
Ashley's got children.
Yes. He's 7.
How long do you think would be good to acclimate on that schedule?
Well, he has 4 hours now. So, and he doesn't stay the full time. So maybe start out with 4 hours.
And then for how long doing that?
Um, like a year until he can start talking, I guess.
A year. So he's already been going through hell with you with having 4 hours with his child in the presence of you, your mom, your dad, and your grandmother, supervised, something that you created. Like I said, this is why it's good, fellas, for you to get to the courts as soon as possible. When things ain't right and she ain't doing right, take it to the courts. But now you feel like he need to be supervised for a whole freaking year with his own child, with his sister around, until you feel that he's fit to be a parent. Not to mention this is his first son. Not to mention this is your first child. You have people around you helping you take care of this child, telling you what to do and what not to do. He has a sister and a mom too that can help him do the same thing. Why does he have to? Because she has it to where he has to go to her house with her mother in order to see the child. Why can't he do the same thing at his own house or his sister's house or what have you? this this heifer here is a pure control freak. She's upset about something and she's not telling.
You should be talking a little bit now.
He talks a little bit.
All right. Any other concerns with Mr. Westcott's parenting?
Not at the moment.
Any concerns with his substance abuse?
Absolutely.
She just said not at the moment she had no concern, but the lawyer said, "Hey, what about his substance abuse?" Oh yeah. He's a straight crackhead, meth addict.
Absolutely.
What would your concerns be with that?
Sometimes over the past couple months, when he comes over, sometimes he'll be super hyper and sometimes he'll be really down. Which is a little concerning. And whether it's a narcotic or a illegal drug, it still concerns me that he's using something to change his mood.
Now, she's assuming right now, okay? She doesn't know if he's doing any kind of drugs or not. She's assuming because he comes over with two different personalities or emotions, he must be on something. Let me tell you something, young lady. If my ex made it to where I can only see my child 4 hours a day, I can tell you this. Now let's get personal. When I was in the court, and I know a lot of times this stuff is pushed by the lawyer, but you gotta, give credit where credit is due. You know, the courts tried to make me have supervised visits with my child. This is after I was getting ready to get married. I don't know if I was even married at this time. I can't even remember dates. I'm bad with dates. But trying to make me have supervised visitation, and it was like there was nothing in my past, the history, which warranted that, which it upset the hell out of me. Yes, it did. Because I've never been abusive to my children, never been abusive to their mother. Now we've had fights. But I haven't like hit her or nothing like that. It was more like a pushing her off of me type. But anyway, we haven't had no drag out of where she needed to be hospitalized and no stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't abusive like that, wasn't mentally abusive, nothing like that. So there was no reason, especially to my kids, there was no reason for me to have supervised visits, except that there may have been some kind of control issue or some anger or animosity that I don't know what it was. I can speculate, but I can't prove what the issue was. But it was a lot that was being done to try to ruin my reputation in order to go before went to the courts or when we got to the courts. But then it didn't work. So I could understand. So I was pissed off. And it wasn't no 4 hour visitation. It was like weekend supervised visitation. Stupid shit. I'm sorry. Stupid stuff that no, it wasn't warranted. So like I said, I was not a deadbeat dad, never have been, never will be. Was not an abusive father, never have been, never will be. So for someone to try to put stipulations on me seeing my kids after everything that I've done for my responsibility, it hurt. And I mean, it pissed me off to the utmost festivity for sure. So I can imagine if I can only see my kid for 4 hours a week. Are you crazy? Man, it'll be a major misunderstanding. So I can imagine how he can feel. So yes, he probably did go to your house feeling down sometimes. Now he might have did try to go in and say, let me try to look kind of happy. So that way she can see that I'm happy and everything. And can't nothing get me down, can't nothing upset me. And let's go with that. But again, when he gets there, you nitpicking everything he does. He can't do nothing right. You're doing everything, but your mom and grandmother hovering over him like the wicked witches of the east, west, north, and south. And you expect him to be happy. And then when his child, he gonna see him 4 hours. Well, hell, if his child is asleep, he gonna sit down and watch him for the last 2 hours. And like, shit, yeah, I would. What he gonna do? What is he doing while the child is asleep? Because he's supposed to be with the child, right? So the child is asleep. I'm quite sure the child is in your room, in the crib. He probably want to be around you. And I wouldn't either.
specifically, I mean, give me some examples of what you observed.
Um,
You got to tell the judge, you got to give him a picture of what's happening.
I mean, sometimes he's just hyped up and sometimes he's way down.
She can't even come up with nothing. She can't even come up with good. Nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing at all. She just
Any other concerns you want to tell the judge?
not at the moment.
Stu's going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
she can't even come up with nothing bad to say about this dude, but he can't do nothing good either. So this is gonna be interesting.
Understand that I'm not beating you up when I say this, but you're so concerned about his behaviors that he was your very first call when your dad had his heart attack, and you asked him to come to the hospital and be with you, didn't you?
I did not ask him. He offered to come help with Zane because it was a very stressful situation. So I did not ask. But when they called the code blue on my dad and said that he was basically going to die, I figured, yeah, it probably would be nice to have somebody there to help with Zane at that moment.
But you
So-
called him. He was your first
I did
call.
I did call
Okay.
Chase because I wanted him to know what was going on.
And you felt okay with the fact that he could care for the child.
Yes, while everybody is there with us.
You don't like not being.
That's that don't make sense. Because if your dad is about to die, that means your mother and your grandmother and whoever else is around is going to be paying attention and focus on your dad. So who the hell is going to watch, what's his name, Chase? Who's going to watch Chase, watch Zane? They're not going to be, nobody, make it make sense. No one is going to, shoot, I can't even get it out. Make it make sense. It does not make sense. Because shoot, I remember when I can go back and say like when my ex's grandmother passed. I can remember when, my oldest one was a little baby and I had her in my arms and one of the aunts grabbed my daughter from me and said, "Hey, you need to be over here because something is about to happen and you need to be right here." So I mean, you understand. So I mean, but they're not together. But my point is, everybody's in the room, everybody's in the hospital waiting for this man to die, thinking this man's finna die. You think they want to be focused on your child? And you got a fully functional father who wants to be in his son's life, who's ready to come at any moment to see his son at the drop of a hat. And you want to try to make it a negative thing?
Control of things. Is that kind of what it's getting down to?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Because you were well aware before you conceived this child with him that he was in drug court.
Yes.
Okay.
Did he not testify that
He did.
being in drug court, he had to clarify that or had to have that, and that Doug Beecham had to meet with her and so forth before they continued on? Yeah, but that's the point. You said you were objecting to facts not in evidence. I'm just simply pointing out that what I heard, there was testimony to that. Overrule the objection.
So going back to Chase's testimony, he say AA meetings, or he had like a court. He got charged, convicted, what have you. I don't know if it was alcohol or drug use or something, but anyway, in the program that he was in, he had, if he wanted to go on a date, he had to let his, I guess, officer, whoever's over him, know about it, which they would relay that to the judge. So, but the stipulations he had to have is he had to tell her why he was locked up, why he was in the program, et cetera, et cetera. And he had to do that before their second date. And before their second date, she had to go and meet the judge. And so they had to be together so they can go to meet the judge. So the judge can be like, "Hey, do you know about his conviction? Do you know that he's this, that, and the third?" I kind of like this. I kind of like their court system, like really, because I mean, when you watch this whole video, you'll hear a whole lot of things. But I'm a firm believer I'm a firm believer in that we all need to know about the court system. Like I said, law is one thing we need to understand. Get acclimated with it. Shoot, got Chat GTP and AI. You can look up any question that you have about anything. You can type it in your phone, type it in your laptop, or whatever device you have, and get the answers that you want, especially about the jurisdiction that you live in. But yeah, so he was anyway. He had to stipulate all this before he could even go on a second date with her. So she knew about his past.
You had to meet with Doug Beecham, didn't you?
I did.
Okay, and so you knew about his history,
I did. Yes, ma'am.
and you chose to have a sexual relationship with him subsequent
Because
to that.
girls like bad boys. Why? Excitement, I guess.
And you conceived your minor child.
Yes, after I was told that I was not supposed to get pregnant by my doctor.
I'm not beating you up
Yeah.
about that. I mean,
Yeah, I was not supposed to be able to have children.
Okay. And you had a baby,
Hmm.
and you were engaged to him.
Yes.
So that dude laid some pipe down. If you weren't supposed to have a kid, that dude was that cat need to write a book or need to put it in the bottle and sell it for top dollar.
And the two of you broke up, and you told him, I'm going to let you see this child.
Hmm.
You told him that.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. And fast forward to you moving in with your mother, you decided that he could only have supervised visitation.
After like weeks and months of him coming over whenever, yes, it made it easier to have a schedule because I couldn't work with my work schedule and work with my parents' schedule all the time to when he just would call and say, "Can I come over today?" We couldn't just drop everything to be there with him.
Okay, well,
So we did make a schedule.
let's talk about this. Let's say the role were reversed
Hmm.
and your child was 1 year and almost 5 months old, and the most you'd ever gotten to see your child was for 4 hours supervised. How would that make you feel? That is real.
Overruled.
How would that make you feel?
Well, it would probably make me not feel good, but I would probably try to do more than Chase does. I would probably actually give money even when it wasn't wanted. I would probably take care of the child more than just at family events. Or when I was there, I would change the diaper. I would feed the baby. I would do other things other than get the baby to sleep and play with him for an hour and a half.
Okay, so you've got him coming to your home.
You said I would give money even if it wasn't wanted. Huh? And you said do more than just be at family events, but yet you restricting him to 4 hours a week on your time.
For a 4-hour period of time when you, your grandmother, and your mother nitpick him about everything he's doing at visitation. Is that fair?
Somebody's got to nitpick him because his family sure doesn't. They just kind of let him do whatever he wants to do.
Hell, he's 31 years old.
Has he been given the opportunity to do anything with this child in
When
front
he's
of
there-
in front of his family?
When he's there during his parenting time, he should be parenting. We shouldn't have to hover over him because he doesn't know what he's doing. We shouldn't have to tell him, "Oh, don't let Zane play with the knife up on the cabinet. Don't leave him on the cabinet, Chase. He can't do that. Oh, you've got to change his diaper. You've got to cut his food up to feed him." You shouldn't have to babysit the parent.
You understand, ma'am, that you're under oath and you're testifying right now. Do you
You
understand?
do know there's no book on parenting, and if you don't know if this is your first child, it's a lot you have. Parenting is one thing. Like I said, there's no book in. There's no blueprint. Like seriously, it's one of those things that's handed down from generation to generation to where like your parents, grandparents, or whoever's around should be helping you raise a child. When something happens, they should be there. You can call them, or they can be there, give you advice on what to do. I did it throughout raising of my children, calling my mom, dad, what have you, trying to, getting advice on how to, to do what, what I'm saying, just advice on how to make a bad situation worse or make a good situation better. Just what you suppose. That's what parenting is. But you have to have those role models who are good parents to where when it's your turn, they pass along those good traits and those good ideals and good teachings.
Understand that?
Yes, and all of that is true.
Okay, and you understand that if you lie during court, that it is criminal in nature.
Yes, and none
Okay.
of that is a lie.
And you're coming before this court when he asked you repeatedly in those text messages that you reviewed with your attorney. He asked you, why can't I have him? The only thing you ever said is he's more comfortable in my home. You never said you're an irresponsible father. You never said you're not providing for him. As a matter of fact, you blocked him on Venmo, didn't you?
I did. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you refuse the $75 that we talked about hold on, $75 that your mother received from
did.
him. He had asked you to take it from him before that. Yes or no?
Well, there's 9 different statements, but you're going to have to make it in the form of a question. Sustain the objection.
YouTuber or your
The $75. Yes or no? Did he offer it to you before he gave it to your mother?
He offered it to me as I was walking in the door with Zane, and my other hand was full with groceries.
Okay, so
They were full. My hands were full and I could not take it at the moment. I said, I cannot have it right now. He put it in his pocket and walked inside.
Okay.
And then
gave it to your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, didn't she just say earlier that she reason why she didn't take it and he gave it to her mother because she was at work?
How that went down. I did not straight up say no.
But that's not an isolated incident. You don't take child support payments from him, do you?
Yes, he leaves
so
them there.
blocking on Venmo?
He should. That makes it so much easier on him to just Venmo me instead of going to the bank. He's doing everything the easiest that it can possibly be done for Chase, and he's done that the whole time we've been
Why
together.
would you not want it to be easy if he's going to send you money? Why would you not want that to be easy for him?
Overruled.
Why would you not want that to be? He's in school and working, and sending you a Venmo is a problem? Yes or no?
Why does it have to be like, why
I
can
don't
he not
answer
bring me
questions.
cash?
You answer questions.
Yes, it's a problem
Okay. Why?
because it's so much, because it takes one more thing off of Chase that he has to do. He works and goes to school and that's all he does. He's
You, why can't I have him? The
We're
only
gonna hear
thing
that again. I want to make sure y'all heard what I heard.
you ever said is he's more comfortable in my home. You never said you're an irresponsible father. You fighting for him. As a matter of fact, you blocked him on Venmo, didn't you?
I did. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you refuse the $75 that we talked about hold on, $75 that your mother received from him. He had asked you to take it from him before that. Yes or no?
Well, there's 9 different statements, but you're going to have to make it in the form of a question. Sustain the objection.
Hold on. The $75. Yes or no? Did he offer it to you before he gave it to your mother?
He offered it to me as I was walking in the door with Zane, and my other hand was full with groceries.
Okay, so
They were full. My hands were full and I could not take it at the moment. I said, I cannot have it right now. He put it in his pocket and walked inside.
She could have said, just put it on the table.
Okay.
She said, so basically you did reject it while you
and gave it to your mother.
Yes, ma'am. Correct? That's exactly how that went down. I did not straight up say no.
But that's not an isolated incident. You don't take child support payments from him, do you?
Yes, he leaves them there.
Blocking on Venmo?
He should. That makes it so much easier on him to just Venmo me instead of going to the bank. He's doing everything the easiest that it can possibly be done for Chase, and he's done that the whole time we've been together.
Why would you not want it to be easy if he's going to send you money? Why would you not want that to be easy for him?
Overruled.
Why would you not want that to be? He's in school and working, and sending you a Venmo is a problem? Yes or no?
Why does it have to be like, why
I
can
don't
you not
answer
bring me
questions.
cash?
You answer questions.
Yes, it's a problem
Okay. Why?
because it's so much, because it takes one more thing off of Chase that he has to do. He works and goes to school and that's all he does. He's 32 years old.
Okay.
He
He's
should be able to
stable.
do that without any problem.
So I know y'all heard what I heard, right? In that state, they're allowed to pay child support if it's not taken out of the check and taken out of like out of his work check. And I think this is like a preliminary hearing. And in the courts, I know here in Texas, you go through these at least 2 or 3 of these easy before you get to the final court hearing, and the judge finalizes and signs off on all the orders. So at that point, but in this state, they're allowed to pay child support through Venmo. She said, and he said in the testimony previously, that he has tried to send her money through Venmo and she has blocked it. Didn't really give him a reason why. She comes here and says, because it's too easy for him. Why can't he just go to the bank and put the money in the bank? Or why can't he just give me cash? Fellas, don't ever in your life give cash, gifts, or anything else to the mother of your child unless there's a receipt written and signed by the both of you saying that this goes towards child support. Because if not, it's considered a gift. So she's pretty much screwing, and the child's only what, 12, 16 months old. So he shouldn't have to go whenever the judgment comes down. His arrearage shouldn't be a whole lot, but I want y'all to understand this too, that once a court order is once this hearing is over and it's judge and they say, hey, this is what you owe we figured out this is what you want, this is like the preliminary child support order. Start sending money. Matter of fact, he should be sending money now. Just sending money regardless. If she keeps blocking it, that's not his fault. That is not his fault. So he just needs to be sending like money, putting money aside, whatever he needs to do. But the money he's going to give. He should be stacking it up. So once this order is finalized, once this order in place, and he can just give the money. If it's not already there, because once that order is signed that day, not the day that they stamp it and mail it to you. No, once it's signed that day, anything that has been ordered from the beginning, you're gonna owe. And whatever you don't have, whatever you haven't paid, whether it's $1 or $1,000 or $100,000, you're in arrears. Starting out, you in arrears, which is going to jack up your credit. And you could have been paying $100, $75 every week, every 2 weeks, or what have you. But if you are not paying the full amount, or if you can say, well, she rejected me, so I'm not giving it to her. Well, you should have found a way to give it to her. You can be put in arrears, and like I said, it's gonna mess your credit up. So that's why so I'm just saying, just telling y'all that, just so y'all have some kind of knowledge and understanding how the system works. And because a lot of people don't know that. And they get in there and they owe child support and they want to know what the heck is going on. And you starting out behind the 8 ball. So yeah, keep your affairs in order.
Is he stable? Yes. Is he? I'm not answering questions. You are. Tell me how having a job for 2 years and being in school for 2 years is not stable.
But she want to make it so hard for him that he can't even pay child support. What kind of mother is this? Like I say, she's pissed off about something and she just not saying it.
Been with your parents, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay. And he's just 5 years older than you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Similarly situated, is that correct?
Kind of.
He's bettered himself since you two separated. He's gotten a better paying job.
That's usually what men do. That's usually what we do. Once we got that hag off our back, man, we say, okay, okay, this is what we owe. This is what we need to do. Okay, now I'm finna go out there and get it, and rebuild and build myself up and become the man that I know I should be, that I would have been if I wasn't with this help in the first place.
Is that right?
He had that job when we were together.
Yes, he's gotten a raise. Is that correct?
I don't know his money situation.
Okay, you heard that he's making $23 an hour. Was he making $23 an hour when you two were together?
I don't know. He lied so much. I didn't know the truth
Okay.
from the not truth.
So now we're around to the fact that he's a liar.
Absolutely.
He was kind to you in his testimony.
Hmm.
Oh, you don't think he was kind to you?
He was kind during his testimony, but this week when I needed some space and some time, he was not kind.
So
No,
when you
ma'am.
called him and he dropped everything to go to the hospital?
Not that. After that, when I had to
Oh,
cancel
okay.
his visitation with Zane, he got very ugly with me the second time because my dad was coming home from the hospital and we had to be there to help get him in. And he was ugly about it.
Because you canceled on him again, right?
Yeah,
Two times.
Yeah, because my dad had a heart attack and Zane has been sick with the croup this week.
If you
So it's a lot.
If you hadn't seen your child in a
It's
period,
still not making sense. If your dad just had a heart attack and he's coming home, why would you not give him to his dad so that can alleviate some of the stress that you're having? Because you said you trust him to be around his sister. So why in the hell would you not? I mean, even the least, let him come through and see his son, be with his son in your little bedroom over there in the corner where the crib is. Why you tend to your father?
of 7 days, and somebody kept putting you off, and the last time you saw your child was for less than 4 hours, would it not upset you for somebody to continue to put that off?
Well, he has 4 hours to stay. It didn't have to be less than 4 hours.
Okay, when was
First of all,
the last time you spent 7 days away from this child?
never.
Okay,
Second of
you're-
all, I would hope that somebody would be understanding. I would hope that I would be understanding to the fact that it's a very stressful time.
Now you ain't making sense because, like I said, it was stressful. You would let him see that child. Now, what's funny is, let's say if this was an opposite situation, and he was saying that he was going to come and see the child, or saying that he was going to come and get the child, and didn't show up, because we hear about those situations a lot too. She would be highly pissed off, but that's not the case. You got a guy who wants to see his child a whole lot more, especially if it's a son. I could imagine if it's a son. You got a guy who wants to see a man who wants to see his child more than 4 hours around you and your mama and your grandmother per week. You got a man who wants to pay child support weekly, who wants to try to either hand you cash, trying to work around your rules. You want cash? I bring you cash. You don't want Venmo? I bring you cash. Oh, well, okay. Well, I give it to your mother. You need this, that, and third. So it's like, but then you try to say he only bring like 2 things of diapers, 2 things of wipes, 2 things of formula. He's trying to give you money. It's like he's damned if he do, damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. He's probably confused because he don't know what to do, because everything he does, you crap on it. Correct? So yeah, I would probably do the same thing. Like, look, I'm just gonna chill. If you want something, you let me know. But then as a man, he's still trying to give you something because he knows that it costs money to raise a child. He wants to be in his child's life. Now he could easily be a deadbeat ass dad who don't want to see his child, don't want to pay child support, don't want to work, don't want to go to school. You'll be pissed off about that too.
And you told him when he could come to your home. Is that correct?
This is one time in a year. One time.
You told him when he could come to your home. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
You set his schedule for
He
his
set
weekly
his schedule. I
visits.
asked him if he wanted 2 hours for 2 days or 4 hours for 1 day, and he said 4 hours for
And
1
you
day.
set the schedule for when it starts and when it finishes, correct? No, when it starts and when it finishes is not been answered.
Overrule the objection. Restate your question.
You told him when he could arrive and when he could stay till. Is that correct?
I did, but we
Okay.
have been doing when he gets home from work. So whatever time he gets home from work, you start the 4 hours, and then 4 hours after that, he can leave. But normally he leaves before that.
Okay. So why can't we just let him have the child for a couple of days at a time so that he can actually spend time with the child? You don't have to look at your lawyer for an answer.
Not. Because it would be the child would be very unnerved being away from his mother that long
Yeah,
and being
child
with
barely a year old. He don't know
the father who he knows for 4 hours at a
because you
time.
chose that.
Okay, but you've created that, correct?
No, ma'am.
Now, let's talk a little bit about when this was filed. When this is filed, you can agree that Mr. Westcott tried to get an agreed order of paternity since he had signed off on the acknowledgement of paternity, and you contested paternity. Is that correct?
Yes.
For what reason did you contest paternity?
Overruled.
Why did you contest paternity other than to keep him from having visitation with his child?
That was not it. I never wanted to keep him from having visitation.
Okay.
Clearly.
Then why? Oh, clearly?
Yes, because we let him come over 4 hours every week.
And by we, that's you and your mother and your grandmother.
Yes.
So are y'all a team?
No.
Can you agree your family sees him more than the biological father sees a child?
Yes, because they babysat him while I'm at work.
Okay. So why can he not babysit while you're at work?
Because he's at work also.
Okay. But if he's available, if he's off a day, why can't he babysit?
Because he's irresponsible as a parent.
Who I would love to be a lawyer and or a judge in family court. God, I was, man, another life, man.
You required that he take a paternity test, but in court today, you can't tell this court why you required him to take a paternity test. You knew he was the dad. Did you question paternity?
Oh.
Yes, but kind of.
Okay. Then did you lie to him about never cheating on him?
Yes,
Have you been dishonest with him?
one time.
Oh, just one time.
That's a lie. The lie detector tests say that's a lie. They say one time, it's been more than one time. You ain't,
Yeah, just one
and it's
time.
a small town too. Shoot, that dude, whoever you was with, he's probably still clapping your cakes up until this point.
Who was the other? Who could the other father have been? If she says that she cheated on him, I want to know who it is.
If you had a DNA test, there's no fact now that the identity of this person you had fact to is going to be relevant to it.
No, the statute the old paternity statute made a provision that if a man contested paternity and was later found to be the paternity, that was a factor the court could consider in a custody arrangement. Of course, back then, the laws were mostly suited to favor the mother in those situations anyway. So, in my opinion, it would seem to me that it is relevant on the issues of her attitude towards this man regarding his rights as a father, as to whether or not there was a valid reason why she would question his paternity if, in fact, they'd been in a relationship. The acknowledgement that he was the father was made during the relationship, and then suddenly after he files his petition, she questions his paternity. Now, the identity of the individual is not necessarily a question that I think is relevant. And I'm not wanting to necessarily have to answer it to embarrass her, but it becomes a question of when and where and so forth that this relationship would have occurred that she says occurred that could have questioned in her mind the paternity of this child. Let's leave the name out and let's question whether or not, if you want to question her, you can question her about those facts.
Judge, my only purpose in that question, I don't mind to strike it, was simply to get across to the court that she's not being forthcoming with the court.
So, guys, you see why I am an advocate of paternity tests being, how would you say? You would have to get, mandated, if you will, for every birth in the entire world. Because this woman, from her own testimony, stated that she wasn't quite sure who the father was or she might have known, felt, but didn't know for sure who the father could have been. So you living with a guy, you are having intercourse with a guy, but yet on the side while he's at work or whatever he's doing, going to school, I'm not sure the time. Well, this is like if the child is like 16, so we're talking like little over 2 years ago. Uh, so maybe y'all was just dating at the time. But anyway, you're dating this guy, y'all are serious, but yet you out allowing somebody else to clap your cakes at the same time. So now you're like, he says he's a father. You got him believing he's a father, but in your mind, you think that it's possible that he's not the father. But you're gonna run with it as long as everything is going okay. But then when y'all break up, and now he wants to. You probably said, what I'm saying, you probably said something under your breath or out of anger to make him think he's not the father, just to throw it out there, just to see what he would do. So then he comes and says, "Hey, I want to get a paternity test. I want to get on child support. We need a paternity test." You say, "Okay, cool." But then you don't get a test for 3 months. You kept denying him the right to get that test. And now you're saying that it's because that it's quite possibly that he was not the father. Again, this is why paternity tests need to be mandated at birth for every child across the world. Keep these harlots in check.
I think the court can discern what they need to discern from that. What is your current address?
2114 Taylortown Road.
And that is not the address where the two of you resided together, is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And that's in White Bluff, is that correct?
Yes.
Are you paying rent there?
No, ma'am, but I help out with the groceries and the bills.
Your portion of those things?
No, a majority of the portion of them.
Okay. But you're not required to, is that correct?
No.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
So when you testified earlier that you were paying all of the bills in the home, that wasn't exactly accurate because
That was the bills in mine and Chase's home.
okay. Now, you and Chase lived together until February of 2024, correct?
Yes.
And during that time, there were times when you would run an errand and he would take care of the child. Is that correct?
I would maybe 3 hours max when I would go to work.
And so when the two of you were together, 2 to 3 hours while you were at work wasn't a big deal. But now that the two of you are separated, you can't manage to allow him to have this child for 2 to 3 hours. And
Yeah, and the child ain't dead yet, so what's the problem?
is that correct?
I had to work and I had to have somebody to watch him on the weekends.
And he
And
was good enough
He
then.
he would badger me on Friday night because I would want my grandma to watch him, and he would badger me until I finally just gave up.
Because
Like
he
until
wanted-
1 a.m., he would be up yelling at me.
Because he wanted to be a dad. Is that correct?
No, because he wanted to be controlling.
You're before this court having offered him 4 hours of supervised visitation since the two of you separated a week, and you're telling me he's the controlling one? I mean, I'm just trying to sort this out. I don't get it.
Well, whether you get it or not is not the issue. Is there any objection to this argument?
Have you sought any mental health treatment in the last year?
No.
Okay. When you were crying all the time after the baby was born and said that what happened at the ball field, you were having a hard time not crying all the time. Did you seek help at that time?
No, because I was made to believe that it was postpartum.
Okay. And that's fine.
And I'm pretty sure that it was probably a little bit of postpartum and some abuse issues at home, but that
okay,
was
so
it.
now you're saying abuse? He abused you?
Mental.
They love to fall back on that mental abuse. You say something they don't like and they start crying. That's mental abuse.
In all of those text messages, when he asks you, why won't you let me have the minor child? Why didn't you list all these terrible things you're saying about him?
I didn't feel the need to. I was a little scared at the time to say all those
But this
things.
has been the history of your text messages. These text messages in June are not the only text messages that the two of you have. It's been the same answer for him every text message where he's asked you. Is that correct?
Yes, around about the same answer.
Okay. Judge, if I may have one moment.
So this is going to be real truly like her last question that she has for her right now. Her lawyer is going to get up and he's going to ask her, did she answer all the questions truthfully, something like that. It's going to confuse her and the judge and everybody else. But like I said, if you want to see this whole thing, which I implore you to, the link, I'm gonna put the link in the description box. And like I say, this is about little over 2 hours long. You know, your boy, like I said, the lead attorney, like I said, if he could look over this case and just give his opinion and his expertise on this, because lead attorney do videos for 4 or 5 hours. It's been a little over an hour. It's just a long time for me. But my point is, one, fellas, ladies too, but fellas, for this court, for this case, you always need, first of all, when you're dating someone, never jump into a relationship too fast. I know you're probably just hot and horny and want to get your rocks off. I get it. If you want to knock it down and run off, I'm not condoning it, but hey, if that's what you want to do, by all means. But if you want to have then you're gonna have a long-term relationship, because you never know what may happen. Y'all just may be clapping cakes and then all of a sudden she gets pregnant. Now you like stuck with her for 18 years. Get to know her family, especially her mother, father too. Not just at, like she said, family functions, but if you go to a family function, don't go early. Go late after all of them been drinking, partying, and and they're all comfortable. Then you can come in and you can see how they act. They can the father, in my opinion, is going to tell you the truth about his daughter. He will. He's going to try to get an understanding of you, and then he's going to tell you the truth about his daughter. He's going to tell you how you feel, and he's going to tell you what he will and won't allow, and what he's going to be looking for. The mother, the grandmother, apple don't fall far from the tree. I would try to be at their house as much as possible if you can, because eventually they're going to get comfortable and they're going to crack, and you're going to see exactly the person that they are. This is before you get so serious that you want to get married and have children by this person. Once she's pregnant, I don't care if you're married or y'all are dating, get a paternity test. Mandate it. Make it possible. She may get pissed off. That's fine. But she'll understand. Let her understand early in the relationship that, hey, this is what, this is what I am going to do. This is what I require from my woman. Because they're going to have requirements and stipulations too. So you say, hey, if you get pregnant, whether we married or not, we're going to get paternity tests. And it's just that simple. And she's going to be like, why? Well, because this, that, and the third. And you should do that before y'all get married, because if she gets mad at that and she wants to leave, shoot, let her roll off. That's best for you, because you got people who want to get what's called prenups. You got women who want a man to have this much, make this much money, pay this much of the bills, look like this, be faithful to you 24/7, no matter what they do, and you should be happy, no matter what, no matter how they treat you. You should be happy with what they do. So you should say, okay, if we have children, I want a paternity test. Let that be one of your stipulations. Next thing, if there's ever any issue with the mother of your child, and it's to the point to where you're on the breaking point, involve the courts. Now, I'm not sure who started this court hearing. I think maybe she might have done it, or maybe he did it. But get the courts involved. Even though we don't like the courts like that, and for some reason we've been taught to stay away from the courts is your best bet against her. It may hurt you too, but they'll create rules, regulations to where everything's on paper. So if you deviate from that, you can always go back to court and say, hey, I want to, someone to sue him because they're not following the court order. Let's come back before the judge. It's always your best thing. Now, it will cost you money. Matter of fact, it's most likely in this court case that he is going to pay her lawyer fees. If he's not a pro bono, what you call it, I won't say pro bono, but he working for the ones that work for the courts, court appointed. Good Lord, most likely he's a court appointed lawyer, and I say that because he was objecting for some silly stuff. He really wasn't saying a whole lot of stuff that makes sense. So that's what it said. I'm quite sure she probably couldn't afford a lawyer, but that lawyer he got, that's one that he had to pay money for. So he gonna have to pay his lawyer fees, and probably gonna have to pay her lawyer fees if she has an outside attorney. How do I know? Had to do the same thing. Craziest thing in the world. I didn't understand that, but it's like, yeah, I didn't get it. But anyway, but yeah, like I said, get the courts involved in situations like this. But this woman here is vindictive. She's evil. She's a liar because she says she's had an affair on this dude. And for whatever reason, not saying why, but she's trying to control his every move, even when they're not together. Here's the problem. I wouldn't be surprised if he has another woman. I mean, hell, he is a man. He's going to school, going to work, trying to do things to make himself better. Some woman's going to see that, especially in that little small town. Some woman gonna know his story and gonna know what's going on. And she's probably in that courtroom right now and wants to be a part of his life because he's trying to do things. So now, who knows? Maybe his mother, maybe his sister, maybe his woman said, "Hey, you need to go to court for this and get this stuff put in because she can't just keep you away from your child the way you only see him 4 hours a week. That's not right. Take her to court." That could be what because let me see what side of the court he's on. Yeah. So he probably did because if you're watching TV, because I know, because usually defendant plaintiff. I remember I was on the right side. So she had. So it looks like he's probably the one who, who called this court. Called this session, took her to court for whatever child support and visitation. Understood. Good work, man. Good work, young man. But anyway, that's about it. I just want you to see how vindictive this heifer was, man. It don't make no sense, but this is all too common, man. This is nothing. This is not an anomaly. This is something that happens a lot. You know what I'm saying? In these courts, you don't believe me? Monday morning, around by 9 o'clock, go to your local family courtroom and sit in and watch a few of these depositions or these little hearings. They only last usually, since it's a small town, that's probably why they got, because it's supposed to be the first one, which is pretty long. Because usually they have one like every 30 minutes, I think. So you got to go in, boom, and out, boom, out. So they don't, these things don't last this long. Like I said, this was like 2 hours, but he did a whole ruling and everything and spoke at the end. He had a judgment. He said, he told him that they had to take a drug test. If he passed the drug test, then he could be able to see his child unsupervised. He had like 24 hours to do the drug test. But in the meantime, the first few sessions, he has to be with his sister for a few hours, and then after that, he'll give him freedom to see his son when he want to. I do know that the courts can make judgments, but the parents can modify it if they agree to it. But the courts can make a judgment. Like, hey, this is a stipulation. Now, if y'all want to modify it, y'all can, but this is what we put down. If there's a problem or what have you, you come back here. It is what it is. I think he wants them to go to like parenting classes, which again, that's why I like one other reason why I like this their court system, because he's like, look, because he said, hey, I need y'all to go to parenting classes. If you don't, and then when we get ready to finalize these orders, if there's an issue, I'm gonna look and see if you went. And if you didn't go, that will help me make a judgment. It will affect the judgment that I make to finalize the situation. So he's holding both of them accountable for being parents. But but she's going to keep. I said she's going to be able to keep the child, which I mean, he's an infant. I'm not even tripping on that, like really. But he said they're going to have like shared custody, not equal custody. He didn't say that just yet, but he said this is temporary. So, but anyway, I don't want to tell the whole thing because I want y'all to watch it. I really do. So anyway, now I want y'all to tell me what y'all think of this story and give me examples or tell me what you went through when you went to family court. And if you had to deal with a vindictive baby mother like this one here, an evil baby mother who won't be mad at a dude, but yet you didn't even know if that was his child. Huh. And he did not say one disparaging word about you when he testified. He said you was a good mother. Does everything independent, strong, and all he wanted to do is be able to help you. No, all he wanted to do is be a part of his son's life. And for some reason, he's getting punished for that. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. You know how we do is have intelligent conversation. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, get that notification bell, man, hit that, get all notifications. That way, every time I drop a video, you'll be the first one to know about it. If you want to support us financially, you can give super thanks, super chat, super stickers, and go to the description box. The links there you can click on to help support the channel that way. And also, don't forget to hit that shop button where we have products I know that you will not be disappointed. I know you'll love them. Like seriously, you and your wife or you and your significant other. Colognes, perfumes, silks. I mean, we got it all. But anywho, with that being said, I leave you in peace and I'll see you on the other side.